Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women. On this show, you will learn how to create wealth through real estate the blissful way. That means with very little stress and very little time. We talk about strategies, mindset, heart set, money smarts, resources, and so much more to ensure you're able to create the success you most deeply desire. Now, here's your host, Moneeka Sawyer.
Hi there, ladies. I am so excited to welcome back to the show today our guest, Dina Buchanan. You met Dina a few weeks ago when she talked about syndication and doing that in climate resistant or resilient markets. And she and I kind of in the green room had this conversation about the value of money and how that money is losing value. We talked a little bit about it in the show, but it's such a deep topic. It's come up several times on this show. And I really like the way that she talked about it. So I thought I'd bring her back and we could discuss this, kind of, as she says, unpack sort of the concept. So you ladies kind of understand the way that investors and financial professionals, people that have been in the industry for a long time, and kind of study money, how we look at money, to give you kind of perspective on that. But before we get moving, let me reintroduce Dina. So here's her bio again. Dina is the Director of Investor Relations at PCRP Group, a firm that provides direct access to tax-advantaged passive income commercial real estate opportunities. Dina has been investing in both residential and commercial properties in the United States and internationally for over 19 years and has acquired or has been responsible for overseeing approximately $200 million of assets under management. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome back, Dina. It's so nice to see you.
Oh, it's so nice to see you too. And thanks for welcoming me back. It's a pleasure to talk with you again.
Yeah,
and
ditto.
It's so fun because when you meet people that are like-minded and you gel on the same topics, I think it makes them more fun to talk about.
Absolutely.
And learn about. And I think the learning is so much more impactful because we really learn from each other when we have these really what I call in-depth conversations. They're serious, but they're also really interesting. And it's stuff that we can implement in our lives when we understand all about money. And that really was kind of what we were talking about in the green room was, the education, financial education and money and what that means exactly. And a lot of people, and myself included, back before I studied this, we wondered, I remember thinking money was just something, like when the government would say, okay, like the government is going to pay for this, or the government is going to take money and pay for this. Where did it come from? Right. And yes, we know that people pay taxes, businesses pay taxes. And right now and everybody's probably aware, we're in a huge deficit. I'm not sure about if everybody knows what that means, but it means that we are printing more money. So a little history lesson. Back in 1971, President Nixon took us off the gold standard. And what that means is every dollar that was printed before 1971 was backed by that exact amount of gold in the treasury. So if somebody had $100, it was like they had $100 worth of gold. Well, now, since he took that, or he deregulated that, money can be printed. And the reason he deregulated it, just if anybody's interested, is because they owed money to another country, or we owed money to another country. So he printed that money to pay back that debt. So now, here's the issue, is the amount of money that's being printed. Because from, March of 2020 to October of 2020, if we were live, I would say, is there any idea how much money, anybody know I know you do, how much money was printed during that 6 months? And it was $4 trillion. $4 trillion. And I mean, it was like, how do you wrap your head around that? And so when people are printing, or when the government's printing money, a lot of people don't understand what that means for them and their dollars. Every time the money prints, the value of money goes down. In other words, the more dollars that are in circulation that are not backed by gold, the less they're valued. So the more money printed, right?
Right. So, and then, you know, really, this is the interesting thing, right? So much of what we hear about money, the government's printing money, we're in a huge deficit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, that doesn't affect me. Big deal, right?
Yeah.
Think of it as supply and demand.
Yes.
The more dollars there are out there, the less they're worth. It's just basic economics. You know, right now, you know, if you're out shopping and there's a particular, let's think like the Model 3 for the Tesla, which when I was trying to buy it, they were in production, but there were very few, right? And so I had to wait 3 years to get my Tesla. I was willing to pay more for that.
Correct.
Because there were fewer of them, right? And then as they become more mass market, I actually don't know what Tesla's going to do about it. So I'm not sure if that was a great example, but it is just kind of the supply and demand thing. The more that there is, the less people value it, and therefore its value will go down. Is that true?
That is very true.
Right.
And with money, the one element is that's problematic is people do value money, and the value, what they're valuing is going down, right? And that's the problem. People are treating money like it's a commodity. For example, if somebody has $1,000 and they put it in a savings account, what are the rates that savings accounts pay? I don't even know. It's probably like 1%, right? Maybe less, 0.5%. And
probably about 0.2%, 0.8. Yeah. You know, like very, very low.
And it's like, when you do the math on that, it's like not worth it. But yet our culture, a lot of people say, save, save, save. And people like us, we're going, well, wait a second. I want my dollars to make more money than that, because saving is not, it really isn't going to make money. Think about it. If money is losing value, the rate of inflation. So the rate of inflation, what is the rate of inflation, right? 4%, 5%, that's what they tell us anyway. They don't include food and fuel in that, as you probably know.
Okay. So and Ashley, I want to unpack that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So ladies, and I would love your input on this, Dina.
Yeah, sure.
So when we talk about cost of living, right? And cost of living increases. So many people, when they have a job, each year they get a raise, hopefully. That's a cost of living raise. And the cost of living raise is 3% usually, right? So you say, oh, I got a 3% raise. Yay, I'm keeping up with how fast the economy is growing, right? And that's kind of how the layman might think of that, right? Oh, that's great. I'm keeping up. Correct. But then what happens is, you notice 10 years later, if I'm keeping up, why do I feel so far behind? Correct. The reason is because at 3%, we're not keeping up. Do you know why? Because when the government calculates the cost of living, they are not including housing, food, or fuel. And Dina said, the things we actually need. Dina said to me in the green room, she says, yeah, could you imagine putting together your monthly budget and not including the cost of housing, food, and fuel? Like, what kind of budget is that, right? And it's true. That's what the government does.
Yeah, it's like taking your money and saying, well, gee, I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm going to take it and go shopping, right? Like, that's right. Yeah, and you wouldn't have a home.
That's right. Exactly. People do that, and then they end up in huge debt, right? So that's the thing. And that's why we're having this conversation, is to get it real so that people kind of understand how money works. A cost of living is not 3%. If you really calculate everything in, Dina, what would you say it is? I would say between 6 to 8%.
Yep. And I would venture to say, at the rate that they're calculating money, it's probably closer to 10 right now.
Okay. So things have changed.
We're nowhere near that. You know what I mean? I mean, as far as cost of living raise. And here's the worst part, because what you're saying, like 100%, 1000% agree, right on. The worst part is people are thinking, they believe that they take that $1,000. And if you take money that's losing, to your example, 6%, and you're going to put it in a savings account that's making 0.2%. So money's going down 6% and there's only a bump up of 0.2. You're still you're in a negative or a deficit of 5.8%. This is why people can't keep up, no matter what their spending habits are. It has little or less to do with that than I think the fact that the way we make money is to have money duplicate itself. And because it's losing value, it's got to duplicate itself, your number, 6 to 8 more times to be able to retire, somebody to be able to retire into the lifestyle they're retiring out of. That's significant. That's significant. Huge.
Yeah.
It's
well,
huge.
6 to 8% is actually just to keep head above water.
Yeah. And that's just exactly even.
That's just keeping even.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you want to retire, now you got to add a percentage above that.
Correct.
That now goes into, now we're not just head above water. Now we're actually increasing our net worth. Our money is actually increasing its value. Right. Correct. And so that's why when we talk to Dina about syndication and she says, you're going to get double-digit returns. Well, here's an opportunity to make more than the 8 to 10% that just keeps you completely level. Like you get to keep today's lifestyle, but there's no opportunity for growth. Right. You get to stay exactly as you are today. So if you're loving what you are today, yay, but you're going to have to work till the end of time, basically. Right. There's no opportunity.
There's one other thing too, right? Mm-hmm. It would be one thing if we were stopping here.
That's right. That's the other piece, right?
That's the other piece of it too. Like what you're saying is absolutely true. As long as we stayed here and there was no more money printed, well, we already know that's not going to happen, right?
Well, it can't, right?
It can't. You know, they're at a point where, and somebody asked it, and this is a great little piece to unpack. Somebody asked one time, why, what are they going to do? I said, well, look at it this way. Let's say that you were on a budget for a household, right? And let's say you had 2 kids and my kids, and I promised them I would pay for college, right? That was part of the plan. And let's say they both get to the point where they're 18, they come up, they're like, all right, Mom, I'm ready to go to college. You know, where's my college money? And I don't have it. Here's my 2 choices. I can, go back on the promise, or I can borrow. Government's in the same position. All the things they've promised, they have to pay. They either have to default on their promises or they have to print more money to keep them. Well, psychologists say the best predictor of future behavior is past performance, right? So what have they always done in the past? Printed money. What are they going to keep on doing? Printing money, right? A lot of people will say raise taxes. That won't work. If it were that easy, they would have already done it. The reason it won't work is our tax code is capitalist, and it's structured that we are allowed in our country to make as much, we can keep on making a lot of money, right? And we want it to stay that way. We want that freedom. And the tax code, the way it's written, it's 14,000 something pages now. It allows business owners who do create jobs to get tax breaks. So we don't want to hurt the business owners, because if we do, they'll create less jobs. Hence, there'll be less people in work, right? So it's a very delicate balance. So this is where we as women, as people, can get together and say, okay, in order for me to retire into the lifestyle that I'm in, or want to, like you said, increase it, my money needs to duplicate itself faster. It needs to be able to go in and compound. It's that rule of 72, right? If we go back to that and we look at that in the previous video, we look at, all right, well, how many years is it going to take for my money to double? If I put $100,000 into this syndication and I can double it in 3 to 5 years, there's no way $100,000 in a savings account at those rates is going to even compare or compete with that. That's the bigger picture, right?
Yes, exactly. I love that. So, okay. So now let's say we're doubling our money, right? In syndications. Not always, but let's say we do that 5 to 7 to 10 years,
correct.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What I love about real estate, and syndication gives you access to this, but most real estate that you invest in, it has a built-in accommodation for cost of living.
Right.
Right. So one of the things that's amazing about real estate is it moves up.
Correct.
The values move up as our costs of living goes up, as inflation goes up. It moves with the markets.
Correct.
So when you invest in the stock market, it also moves with the economy.
Yes.
But it's not stable. Real estate is what I consider the most true depiction of the economy's movement, right? Am I saying that clearly, Dina? Can you say it in another way that makes more sense? I think
the thing that I would note between stocks and real estate, because I do get asked the same thing a lot of times, right? And the truth is, we can make money in both stocks and real estate for sure. I do think education is key, but the difference between a stock and real estate is tangible. And it's a product that people need, right? A stock is not necessarily a need-based product. I mean, people need land to grow food on, they need shelter, a place to do business. And so I think what the tangibility that you're referring to, why it dominates a lot of times the market and the valuation of markets, is because it's a necessary item, right? And so it's that supply and demand thing again. And I think that's the big piece that you're hitting on that makes me go, what's really powerful about this is if we are investing in something that's tangible, even because real estate markets can go down, because that's another thing people say, well, are you telling me they never go down? Of course they do. I mean, if we look back in history, that does have ebb and flow. However, over a 10-year span, National Association of Realtors will tell you real estate increases approximately 10% across the board every decade. So that means it increases. It's eventually going to go back up, and you've got that supply and demand. And that's what's going on right now. There's housing needs and there's affordable housing needs. And this is why multifamily is so impactful. And if you bring the climate resilient piece into that, which I think everybody should be aware of course, that's my piece that I am passionate about, is, we reduce our carbon footprint when we can do multifamily. We can get some great tax incentives in certain places when we're doing energy efficient upgrades in our buildings. And so all of these things together can create that portfolio that allows an investor to duplicate their money on a faster level. And that's really the game we're playing with money right now. It's really a game, right? It's the quicker the money can reproduce itself, the more comfortable retirement will be, the more comfortable life will be. You don't have to worry about what, Elon Musk is doing with the price of Teslas, right? Right?
That's maybe totally true. Yes.
Maybe we could take a trip on Blue Origins, it's different. And it's not about, for me, it was never about the stuff, although we have stuff and we love to travel. We all have our things, right? But it's really about the fact that I don't have to worry about that stuff, it's a tool, and it allows me to be 100% who I want to be in the moments that I want to be that person. Right. That's the big piece, I think, that we're both passionate about, that we get to do what we do and help lift people up and understand this. Because I think if more people understood this and they got this type of financial education, I've often said in schools, I don't know that I ever used calculus. Of course, I had to take it when I was in college and high school, and I don't even remember it. I have no recollection. My kids will ask me today, how do you, honey, gosh, your dad, that's so not mommy's thing, right?
Exactly.
It's just not, right? But ask me ROI and ask me how you can duplicate money. Well, yeah, I can tell you that. And which is a better skill for a kid, to go out into the world with,
Yeah. Yep,
I mean,
yep,
if you're going to
yep.
be a rocket scientist, I guess you definitely need the calculus.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
Or build a Tesla. I don't know.
I don't know. Yep. I'm with you. So Dina, one of the things that I wanted to ask, I think we're going to wrap up this show with this because this was a huge amount of information. And ladies, I hope that you appreciated Dina's kind of perspective on this, and that we broke this down so that you got kind of a perspective on maybe a different way to look at money, right?
Yep.
So Dina, thank you so much for sharing that.
You are so welcome.
In extra, I'd like to go even a little bit deeper because I got a question from one of my ladies. She bought a house. It was $1 million home, and she got an $800,000 loan.
Okay.
And she was like, how am I ever going to pay this off? So I know that you have a response to that. I know what my response was to that.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to talk about that in extra because I think that brings it home for us.
Yeah.
Like it makes it real. Like what should our perspective be on that? So let's talk about that in extra.
All right. That sounds good.
Yay. But for now, Dina, remind everybody how they can get in touch with you.
You can find me at PCRPgroup.com. Go on our website. You can download. We've got tons of free information and education. And we're doing a webinar series that we're releasing in the beginning of next year. And also you can always email me at PCRPgroup.com or Dina at PCRPgroup.com. And any questions that anybody has, or if you want to talk about passive investing, I make myself open to your listeners.
Yay. Thank you. And
You're
ladies,
so welcome.
Yeah, as always, let Dina know you came from this podcast. It's really good marketing information for her as well as for me. And then, so please definitely let her know that you came from Real Estate Investing for Women or from Moneeka Sawyer, whatever it is. Okay. So awesome. So Dina, thank you so much for all that you shared in this show.
Welcome. Anytime.
Yay.
My pleasure.
Yay. And ladies, stay tuned for extra. We're going to be talking about how do I pay off that house, or should I?
That's a good question.
Stay tuned for extra. Go to Real Estate Investing for Women extra.com if you're not subscribed but would like to be. Remember, you get 7 days for free. That's Real Estate Investing for Women extra.com. For those of you that are leaving Dina and I today, thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was really helpful. And I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you soon. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to find out more about how to become a blissful millionaire, go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.